Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emergence Speaker Series focusing on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction of February 20th, 2026. I'm your host, Marina Orms, and I'm chatting with some wonderful guests to help you navigate the changing times and work with these important transits to help us shape the future in the best possible ways. You can learn more about this series at transformationalastrology.com, where you can see all of the interviews that are available so far and those yet to come. You'll be notified. So, transformationalastrology.com, head on over there and grab a free account to be notified of this and any other events I may have in the future. I'm so excited to welcome our next speaker in the series, Catherine Boyer. Astrologer Catherine Boyer is a certified Venus Star Point consultant and is the director of Ariel Gutman's Venus Star Point Practitioners Group. Catherine is a board member of OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrologers, publishing director of the Evolving Astrologer magazine, and leads the National Council for Geocosmic Research, otherwise known as NCGR, Venus Special Interest Research Group. She has also served as VP of the San Diego Astrological Society and established LEAP, Land of Enchantment Astrology People in New Mexico. She's completed mentorship programs with Ann Orderly and Kay Taylor. She currently resides in Tucson, Arizona. I'm so excited to welcome you. Thanks for being here, Kat.
Thank you so much, Marina. It's a thrill. Your series has been amazing. I've watched many of them, and they're just very heartfelt presentations. So I'm thrilled to be a part of the team.
Yay. Yeah, we're excited to have you. And Kat and I met at an OPA event while back now. So we've been exchanging insights here and there, and I'm so excited to have you share about the Venus Star Point. So you're going to tell us a little bit about that and sort of how it ties into these transits that are
Right.
unfolding
It's
right now.
it's a important part of the energies right now. And I think Venus is about love, it's about self-love, and it is about relationship. And I think those are at the forefront for many women these days. And so while we're going through uncertain times, it's always great to ground and understand your strengths and how you can deal with this and help others.
Yeah, yeah. And so how does the Venus Star Point help us do that? Do you
Well, I mean, it's the
know?
core love, it is the loving principle and the relationship principle. So I'd love to kind of take you through some slides I've put together so we can illustrate what it is. A lot of people are confused about it. So we'll explain a little bit about what the Venus Star Point means. And then how it's kind of Venus in general and the Venus Star Point is kind of impacting the energies of the world in the United States.
Yeah, I would love to hear more. So you're going to share some slides.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll take you through just a little bit. A lot of people wonder what the Venus star point is. And astrologically and astronomically, it's when the sun and Venus come together at the exact degree. So it is a conjunction. And the ancient term for that is also Kazimi, which I believe is an Arabic term, which means in the heart of the sun. So it's when Venus is a guest and she's bestowed sort of a gift from the sun. And being in the center of the sun, it's really the love and relationship principle. So for individuals like us, it's a framework of our life. I believe it shows the best of who we can be and what we have to offer. In many ways, it is the heartbeat of your natal chart, and it's the soul of your astrological map. And
Mm.
I believe also it's a gift from the universe.
So
So,
cool.
again, when Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, strength, and many other things, and the sun, our luminary, that's truly the sun is what we're becoming, right? It's our central being, and we're learning that lesson all through our lives. But when they come together, in the heart of the sun. It's cazimi. And at the very core, to me, it means self-love. And self-love is a modern concept. Marina, when you and I were growing up, it wasn't something we were taught from our parents necessarily, but it's a more modern concept, and I think it's very important. And I find that younger generations really have adopted this knowledge, and they know to take care of themselves, and that's something that's really important through these uncertain times. Currently, the Venus star point is in Capricorn, and the Venus star point has 5 different points that are active at all times. Capricorn is one of those star points. And the Capricorn star point came to life in 2022, and it will remain active for about 100 years until 2131. And the previous transit was between 1717 and 1880, so when the nation was born.
Hmm. So interesting.
So, what does it mean to have a Capricorn Venus star point? Well, Ariel's quote is that love and a heart centered approach comes with double blessings for the Capricorn VSP. So, what Capricorn Venus star points are very good at is being serious and being business minded. They're steady, they're certain, and they're very good to have in uncertain times. They're level headed, they're solutions oriented, they're dignified. And Venus, when she's in the sign of Capricorn, really relates to sort of a traditional or classic beauty. Grace Kelly comes to mind. She was a Capricorn Venus star point. And also about relationships with elders, with grandparents, with teachers. It has a lot to do with traditions and culture. And again, it's Saturn ruled, so there's a little more conservatism, a little more about reputation that's of high importance, and good manners.
Hmm.
And so the liability for Capricorn is sometimes they are focused too much on the business aspects, and so they really need to get into their heart and remember that the real love is based on companionship with another. And that's where you find real love. Now, the Capricorn Venus star point was activated on January 6th of this year, and it came to being with a lot of other planets at the same time. The sun was there, Venus was there, but Mars was there and Mercury was there. And I'll show that in a chart later on, but we'll dive a little bit deeper into what the Capricorn Venus star point stands for.
Can I ask a quick question? Just
Absolutely.
as because I probably am like some of the people listening in the sense that this is, not something I'm super familiar with. I know you have done some readings for me in the past, but it's still like it's a whole different way of thinking about astrology. So my question is, so when you say Venus star point for a person, you mean the Venus star point before they were born? Is
Well,
that
it
right?
is what we base your Venus star point on is the cazimi that happened while you were in utero. So your mother was likely pregnant for 9 months, 9 or 10 months. And during some part of her pregnancy, Venus and the sun kissed. And we believe that that kind of was a prenatal event and that put energy into the womb. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you came out, that energy lives in your chart as the Venus star point that really represents the energy that you were kind of built with. So you come out with this sort of natal blessing.
That's so cool. And then so if I'm following your thinking, you are looking at this January 6th Venus Capricorn Venus star point for this year because it is in a sense it's the prenatal star point to this Saturn Neptune conjunction, which is what the theme is of this series.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's kind of what has kissed or given that gift or blessing to this conjunction.
Right, right. And it's an earth sign. So while we have all this uncertainty that's going to be happening in fire and air for the next several years, we're grounded for the next 9 months in certainty of being grounded in the earth in this Capricornian energy.
Mm,
So, if we can ask people to focus in on where the 16 degrees of Capricorn is in their chart, they can find some sense of grounding, a beautiful blend of the sun and Venus to embody. Maybe light a candle and think of it, and speak to you and other astrologers if they're uncertain where that falls in their chart. We're all available to help guide people on that. But that is a place where you can find some grounding.
mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.
Now, this is the chart for when it came to life, so to speak, when the moment happened, where I live in Tucson, Arizona, and it happened at 8:37 in the morning Mountain Time. So you can make adjustments for your time zone. It happened on Mars's day, which I think is interesting because Mars is also conjunct the sun. And then Mercury's not that far away. So, there's a lot of energy here with the personal planets. And again, it's that steadfastness, that certainty, sort of that business authority, that energy that we can bring in and let it carry us through the next 9 months while we're going through some of these amazing challenges.
Mm, beautiful.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to highlight is that we're actually, as the United States, coming up on our Venus Star Point return. And this is a tri-wheel. It's a bit confusing, but I just want to kind of point out a few things. So if you'll work with me here,
Yeah.
this is based on the US Sibley chart of July 4th, 1776. And our natal Venus for the country is 3 degrees of Cancer. The Venus Star Point for the United States happened on, I'm sorry, this is blocked for me, so let me move this real quickly. On October 24th, 1775. So that was a few months before the Sibley chart. And that Venus Sun kiss happened at 1 degree of Scorpio. And later this year, on October 23rd of 2026, when the Venus star point leaves Capricorn, it will go in to 0 degrees of Scorpio, 0 degrees and 45 minutes. So that is essentially a Venus star point return for the United States. And that is highly significant for those of us who follow the Venus star point. So it's a return. So we're going to see a lot of that energy come back. And it's kind of returning to this sort of, the United States was breaking off from England, really. It was a
Right.
time of rebellion in the United States. It was the American Revolution. So I think we're feeling a lot of those same energies today, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of upheaval, people coming together and really wanting to break free of bondage in a sense. So it's kind of uncanny that we're having the return with the return of this energy. And the same time, what's happening tomorrow is Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. And this is something that your whole series is focused on. And this is happening on a Friday. Tomorrow is Friday. And the Venus star point return for the United States is happening on a Friday. And that's significant because Friday is Venus's day.
Oh, how about
And what
that?
does Venus represent? Venus represents love and relationship. So in these times of uncertainty, I think what Venus is saying is don't forget to return to the heart in times of all of this chaos
Mm,
and remember to think and present and move forward from the heart because that's what matters. We are human beings and that's how we connect to others. And the Venus star point is in the 11th house, and that is the house of hopes and dreams and wishes and relationships.
wow. So we get another reminder about how important it is to connect with love.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
And in the natal Venus star point chart, the moon is there as well, and the moon represents the people.
Mhm.
And what I find interesting is the moon, excuse me, when we have our Venus star point return, the moon's in fire in Aries in the
Mhm.
fourth house, the house of home. And so it's a really feisty energy that's coming up. It's a rebellious energy. You know, when the moon's in the sign of Aries, she's ready to stand up and speak out for what she believes in, which is freedom.
Mm.
So keep that in
Feisty
mind.
and courageous.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a little bit more. I'm having a hard time changing the page. Let's see if I could do it here. There we go. A little bit more here about um, the Scorpio Venus star point, which is the Venus star point for the United States. And that's what's going to happen on October 24th of 2026. We'll be at 0 degrees of Scorpio. And when the Venus star point is in Scorpio, it's about transformation, transformation of ourselves, of our lives, and also of others. And this is a really powerful sign. It's about regeneration. It's very psychic. This is a water sign, so it feels a lot. And if you know any Scorpios, Scorpios want the truth. They don't like things that are hidden, although they are very good at keeping secrets. There's definitely a feeling of loyalty that is demanded by anyone who you know has scorpionic energy. So we want the truth, and there's a sense of alchemy and magic. The Scorpio sign is presented by the scorpion, but it has the ability to transform. And that's why we have the image of the phoenix. It is a phoenix rising from the ashes. So don't forget that. That is how powerful this is, right?
Yeah, yeah, and of course, my mind is going to that is right before the November election in the United States. And so this is the Venus star point for the 2026 election.
That's exactly right. That's right. So I feel changes in the air, right?
Chills. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then Mars is the ruler, and Mars is magnetic and intense and determined, very, very determined, and giving all of that energy to Scorpio. But we have to remember there is a dark side to everything. And so with Scorpio, we have to remember that the liability is that a lot of times scorpionic energy hides, and there are a lot of layers to uncover. So it's often a heart under lock, and we want to unlock that, and we want to let go of that desire to possess. So Scorpios can grasp the deepest mysteries through shared power. And we have to remember that power is important to Scorpio, but what it is, it's shared power. And that's the true ambition of Scorpio.
Right. So that clinging to power at all costs versus finding the power from within to finding our own power to bring change or be that force for good.
Transformation. And
Mm-hmm.
and in a lot of ways, Scorpio is very fixed, very still. So, I have this feeling we don't need the violence, right? We can transform with our mind, with our
Mm-hmm.
belief, energetically, and with our vote.
Very
So
good.
there's no
Yes.
need for violence, right? We can do it mysteriously and, kind of magically.
Ooh, that's a really beautiful thought. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see if I am here we go. So, what about the Venus scar point? From a mundane perspective, it's the heartbeat of the United States or the national consciousness. So, again, historically, back in 1776 with the American Revolution, we were breaking ties with England. We wanted to be our own nation. And we felt like we were in bondage with
Mhm.
colonialism and with imperial rule. So we broke away through a revolt.
Through
What
the
we wanted
T
was
and the in the ocean. How
That's right.
scorpionic.
Right, exactly. And so what we desired was shared power, democracy. We want to share that power. And
Mhm.
again, the United States rose from the ashes of the American Revolution to become the powerhouse that it is today. And we would agree it's a little rocky at the moment, but we're hoping to restore and embody, what the early founders shared,
Mm,
which was a nation that welcomed all and was
mm.
open to diversity. And I think many of us would like to return to that image globally.
Yeah.
So the 11th house is about international alliances. It represents Congress and mundane astrology, and it's the collective hopes, dreams, and the long-term ambitions of the society.
Mhm.
But it's also about social movements and reform. And Venus is all about diplomacy and relationship and alliances. So we
Right.
need to keep that in mind as we're moving forward
Yep.
come
Yeah.
October, right?
Yeah.
And the shadow side is power, lust, betrayal, manipulation, deception, which we now use the term gaslighting. So
Totally.
be aware and be mindful of that. But
Mhm.
I feel very strongly that we're going to come back to our natal power
Mm.
in a good way.
That vision. Yeah. Beautiful.
Now, this is a bi-wheel where we have the US Sibley chart in the middle. And I, had pointed out we are a nation with a 1 degree Scorpio Venus star point. And this on the outer wheel is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which you've been covering in all of your conversations. And that happens tomorrow,
Yeah,
which is also,
we're recording this the day before the exact conjunction. So
yes. And
yeah.
so, and that happens on a Venus Friday. So yeah, it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit of the unknown, but look where Venus is. And I do use equal sign houses, but Venus is at the IC, giving us that stability and that love to move forward. So hold Venus in your heart and in your thoughts. Venus is making a trine to natal Venus by sign and the natal Venus star point by sign. They're all in water. Water is emotion. But water is also comprised of air, H2O, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. So a lot of water, but air is there as well. So the mind, it's what we think, what we embody in our emotions. And while we've got lots of fire and lots of air to deal with in the next several months, we can ground with the current Capricorn star point that's in an earth sign. Um, it's in the sign of the second house for the US chart, which is about our values. So we're grounded. It's
Hmm.
about leadership. We want to be a global leader, don't we? We want
Hmm.
to continue in that role. And we want to stand up for democracy globally.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
so.
love how this plays out in these charts.
I love too just how Venus is right there at the IC. So for people who, I don't know if you have a pointer and can point to where that is, but right at the bottom of the chart, you can see Venus there, planet of love in Pisces, sign of universal love. And that's what's grounding us. That's what's keeping our feet on the ground. So it just kind of all ties together with what you're saying and what other speakers have been saying to find where the love is and follow that flow and let it inspire you, let it move you, let it guide you.
And Venus is beautiful in the sign of Cancer. We are a Cancerian nation. We've welcomed others under our wings into this nation. We've made promises to take care of those who've come to our country. We, all are original immigrants, unless you're a Native American.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the Scorpio is the depth of our relationships, the things that we're willing to go to work with our allies. And then the Venus Star Point in Capricorn, again, grounding, being a leader. And then the Venus at the moment, tomorrow, is exalted in Pisces as well. That's where she's at her best.
Mm.
So we have all this Venusian energy to work with. And the Venus Star Point actually has 5 Venus Star points, which I didn't put up there. But when you start working with the Venus Star Point, you have an excessive amount of Venusian energy you learn about, and you can bring into the world, work with, and into your heart. But right now we've got 4 different examples of where Venus is in these combined charts. So that's a lot of love that we can work with to go forward. And I think that love wins at the end of the day. In my book, it does.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now, one other chart that I wanted to share, Marina. This has to do with a Hellenistic concept about the translation of light. And it's a concept that's used quite frequently in horary astrology. And William Lilly says that any planet from whom the moon is separating within orb to have its light transferred by the moon to the next planet that the moon will aspect within orb. That's the meaning of translation of light.
Hmm.
Now, I think I have my pointer on. Can you see it? I'm
Uh,
not sure
oh,
if you can
now
see
I
it.
see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the internal wheel is the event, which was the eclipse that happened on the 17th.
Hmm.
And I point this out because the sun and the moon came together. They're also with the part of fortune, all at 28 degrees of Aquarius. That was the eclipse. And there was a lot of unease. Eclipses always bring unease, bring a lot of uncertainty. But the moon, when you follow the translation of light, kissed the sun, kissed Pallas Athena, is just kissed Venus yesterday and the North Node. She'll kiss Mercury. And then by the time that we get to tomorrow, she'll have kissed Saturn and Neptune earlier.
Yeah.
And she lands at 9 degrees of Aries.
Hmm.
But to me, she's taken the message from the sun in Aquarius, which is the message of the people. And that aligns with the nodal axis for the US Sibley chart, which I believe is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So this is bringing back that original message of breaking from bondage and being the voice of the people. And the moon has spread that message to the asteroid goddess, to Venus herself, to Mercury the messenger, to Saturn and Neptune. And so don't forget, she'll continue to deliver that message. But what is it that we want? You know,
The
I think we
message from
want
the people.
peace, we want love, and we want the message of kindness to move forward with this.
Boy, I can put my energy behind that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Venus has a lot to say and working with the moon. We need to be mindful of these warmer energies as we go here, right?
Beautiful.
Okay.
Hmm.
And that's it. That's what I have for now to share. Just a
Oh
little
my,
something to keep in mind.
oh my goodness, Kat, that is so enlightening and helpful and loving and just informative. So just so many nuggets of insight that you shared with us, and I'm just sitting with it because I think this is just it's another layer of reminder that we can be love in the world. We can act from our love and our courage to be more loving toward ourselves, right? And then bringing that light out into the world and the way that we live our lives. So
Absolutely. And
thank you.
everyone in the series, has really had their own message. There's so many messages here. So I always try and focus on the positive, and that's why I work with Venus.
Yeah.
There's always a darker side to Venus as well that we have to be mindful of, but we want to rise from that
Mm-hmm.
and put our best foot forward and, embody the love that
Mm-hmm.
is available in this country. There's so many acts of, really people coming together to help one another. And I think at the core, that's what the United States is. Think of our flag. We have 50 stars on our flag, 50 embodiments of Venus on that flag. The early founders of our nation were all Masons, right? They studied the stars. They were astronomers. And a lot of people don't know, but Washington, D.C. is actually laid out based on the stars and the constellation of Spica.
Mm-hmm.
And so the placement of many of the buildings in Washington, D.C. Lie under stars from above. Intentionally, they were placed like that. There is an article that I have, I'll share with you, and you can share it with your readers, that talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Venus was a very important part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a
That's
lot
why.
going on. There's a lot
Yeah, there
going on.
is. I know. That's why I was going to say that's why DC is laid out in such a weird way, but because I grew up there. Yeah, but wow, so beautiful. Thank you.
You
Oh, yeah,
bet.
and there's the spirograph of Venus's path through the sky. I love that. If you ever get a chance to see that animation online, it's so cool.
Please do. Yeah. And the Venus star point is a little bit complicated if it's your first time understanding it. There are many layers to it. And we just really, this was the tip of the iceberg. But there are five active points at all times, and each of these points live for about 100 years. And for a full orbit, well, let's just say it takes 8 years for the Venus star point to happen in all five points, and it happens direct and it also goes retrograde. And once it does that, it completes a cycle. So it's basically 8 orbits.
Mm.
And that's what it looks like when it completes 8 orbits. So, yeah,
Beautiful.
it makes a beautiful rose.
Yeah.
And, star point, five pointed flowers, five pointed anything really resembles Venus.
Mm.
So the star, the rose petals, an apple, if you slice it through the middle and you look at it, you'll see the seeds and the pattern looks much like that.
Oh, yeah. What comes to mind for me too is just how important it is at this time of our evolution that we not kind of look to like this whole idea of is what's going to happen, right? And think of it as external to ourselves, but that we see ourselves as participating, as actively creating. And this just helps us to remember why it's important to do that, and what it can awaken for us, what we can create. So really
Really.
powerful.
And Venus is a very creative sign. So, get to know where your Venus star point is. Um, and you can see how it works with the US chart, with the US Venus. Yeah, there's just so many ways that you can bring creativity and relationship and beauty into your life with working the Venus star point. So I'm really grateful for
Mm.
being able to share this perspective with you and your followers. Thank you, Marina.
I love it. And I don't have a website, but you do have an email address, which is Catherine Boyer Astro at gmail.com. So Catherine with a C, Boyer Astro at gmail.com. And you're offering 50% off on Venus Star Point readings if they mention that they found you here. Is that right?
Right. Through
Yeah.
Marina on Emergence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. And yeah, so thank you, everyone. Transformationalastrology.com is where you can go to see all of the speakers, sign up there to be notified and get early access to each speaker's video. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kat. Thanks, everyone.